Hi, this is Eric from longboxreview.com. Welcome to the show. This is The Gutters, my audio journal. Today is Saturday, November, checking my watch here, 16th, 2019. As I record this, it has been just a little over 2 months since I last released a Gutters episode. And apparently I'm now doing this bi-monthly instead of bi-weekly, which was the original plan. But that's okay. Sometimes not a lot happens in my life, so there's not much for me to talk to you about, to tell you about. But I am back here to talk about some things that have happened since September. Not the least of which was a quick trip. It was a leave Friday, attend Saturday, come back Sunday trip. So whirlwind trip to Rose City Comicon. I decided to gift one of my very best friends, lifelong friends, Greg, who has been on the podcast before a few times. I'd love to get him back on, but he's very, very busy running his own business. So, you know, he doesn't have time to do silly things like podcasting like I do. But he had a milestone birthday, just like I did at the end of last year. And so I wanted to take him to a major con. He hasn't been to one in a very long time, I think. And I've been talking to him about Rose City Comicon for a while. It's like Emerald City. It's close, within 6 hours of where we live, and they're pretty big cons. At least from our perspective. And it just so happened, he could go, but I could only attend for one day. I would have loved to have gone, of course, all weekend, but that was just not feasible. And, not only just from a time standpoint, but financially as well. So it turned out really great. We had a great time. He and I talked a lot. Well, not a lot. We talked about he actually what he did on the drive out. He would ask me all these questions. Like oh man, what were some of the questions? Like favorite Justice League members, or things like that. Just really nerdy comic books, superhero stuff that we love to talk about as young boys growing up. And, we were reflecting back on those days, those halcyon days, I think. So anyway, we had a great time. Since we were there only the one day, and Greg is, he went to school, to be an artist. He even dabbled in some comic book stuff, and, runs his own, with his partner. They run their own t-shirt printing business. So he does some artwork there. You should check him out. Cover Me Tees on Facebook. You should call him up and ask him to print some t-shirts for you. If you've seen me at the cons, and maybe even out and about some places, I have a set of long box review logoed t-shirts. I only have some for me. I know I have been asked in the past if I have any to give out or to sell, and I currently do not. But hopefully in the future I will have things like that for my dear listeners if you would like to wear a Long Box Review logo t-shirt. Anyway, Greg designed the logo a few years back, and he printed up some t-shirts for me, and they are fantastic. So like I said, we went to Rose City Comicon. We attended Saturday, and like I said, he's the artist, and so we basically spent our time that day going through Artist Alley and looking at all the stuff. We did attend a few panels. He was really interested in some of the cosplay panels that were there. So near the end of the day, we attended a couple cosplay panels, which is really good because, oh my gosh, guys, apparently I'm getting old and I cannot handle all that walking around standing up as long as we did that day. Because man, I sat down and I almost fell asleep in my chair. I'm getting old. Oh my God. But I'm young at heart, and I love going to cons. While I was there, and thanks for the tip from my buddy Peter Rios, co-host of the Legion Project podcast, he told me that Ryan Sook, whom I knew was going to be at Rose City Comicon, Ryan Sook had a limited edition Legion of Superheroes print for sale, and so I basically walked around Artist Alley trying to find Ryan Sook. He wasn't listed in the program. Like, what the heck's going on? And then I realized, oh, this was I think it was for Heroes Initiative. It was one of those kinds of things. I'm pretty sure it was Heroes Initiative. And once I realized that, it's like, oh, I should go to the Heroes Initiative booth. And lo and behold, he happened to be there, thank God. And so I went up to him and very embarrassingly said, "Are you Mr. Sook?" Because I had no idea what he looked like. And he was very gracious though, very friendly. And I bought 2 prints from him, and he signed them. And like I said, they were limited edition, so these are nice. And Peter, if you're listening, I need to get that print to you. It's been 2 months now, and I haven't shipped it to him. Sorry, Peter, but I will do that. Some other things that happened there. I did buy a few comics. I did find a couple things that were on my wish list. Now I don't even remember what they were, but just to kind of fill out my collection. So yeah, I don't think there was much of anything else. We just had a good time together, talking and whatnot. But man, it was a lot of driving, a lot of walking around, all within 3 days. So I don't recommend it. If you got to be like me and you got to travel like that, boy, I don't know that I would want to do that again. Anyway, I want to go to the con again, of course, but I want to spend the whole time there. It was very whirlwind, I guess. I did remember something else we did. We did end up, when we got to Portland on Friday, before we went and had dinner, I took him to the shop in, I think is it Vancouver, Washington, just across the border there. Took him to I Like Comics, and we stayed there and looked at stuff. Oh, that's actually where I bought a few comics too, to fill up my collection. But that was a lot of fun. That's a really good place. I highly recommend it for people who are visiting Portland and you're looking for some cool comic stuff. Now, there's a lot of good shops in Portland. Some years back, I went and visited Damien Sleepy Reader 666 on YouTube, who's been on the show as well. And he chaperoned me around Portland to some really, really cool comic shops. I would love to go back to those again. But I Like Comics is one that I particularly like. So we went there, like I said. And speaking of Damien, we tried to visit with each other, but it just did not work out, which was very unfortunate, because I was really hoping that Greg could meet Damien and vice versa, and we could just get together and chat. But unfortunately, that did not happen this time. Let's see. What else has happened? So I guess I'm going to jump ahead a month. So I think our Rose City Comicon was the 2nd or 3rd week in September, and then nothing happened to me the rest of the month, more or less. But in October, a few things happened, a few big things. So first of all, my brother-in-law got remarried, and so this is my brother-in-law Doug, and he was married to my younger sister Dawn, and Dawn died some years ago from cancer. And so, Doug found happiness with another person, and he and she got married. And Doug was very gracious and invited me and my wife to the wedding, and which is great, because it's nice to see someone happy again with another person in love, at the very least. But I also got to see my niece and nephews, and I haven't seen them in a very long time. Bad uncle that I haven't done that, but it was so great to see them. We sat and talked with the 3 of them kind of separately, and a couple of them at the same time, at different points during the night, and that was really great. It was wonderful talking with them. And then, to be quite honest, on the drive home, I got a little bit sad, because I was thinking about my sister. But it was really, really cool to be there to share in that happiness, that event, with my family. And then, oh boy. Okay, brace yourselves, because this is when I start talking about my health things again. It wouldn't be a Gutters episode if I wasn't talking about my health. So, skip ahead. I don't know how many minutes, but or hit that fast forward button if you don't care to hear about this. So I came back from Rose City. Oh, I guess this was in September. So my brother-in-law got married in October, but this thing I'm about to talk about actually happened in September. Yeah. Okay, well, screwed that up. Anyway, I came back Sunday as I was driving back from Rose City Comicon. I kind of got this tickle in the back of my throat. I'm like, oh, great. And I wasn't, sometimes I just get that depending on the dryness of the air, or if there's a lot of wind, kicking up some dust and stuff, or I could be getting sick. And I didn't think it was that at first, because normally I get that tickle in my throat, and within hours my throat is sore, and I'm, just all the ickiness that comes with getting a cold. And this tickle kind of lasted all day long. However, by the time I got home that night, I was starting to feel worse, which was not good. But it's like, okay, whatever. I got the con crud, and I wake up Monday morning not feeling good, but not terribly bad. So I went to work, and then it just hit me about lunchtime, I think it was. It just slammed me, and I was like, oh my God, what the hell is this? It was just strong and came on suddenly. It wasn't like, getting a cold. It's like, oh, you feel bad for a few days, and then you start to get over it. No, I woke up Tuesday and I could not get out of bed. I did not go to work that day, and I did something that I so very rarely have done. I actually slept pretty much all day long. And even when I'm really sick, I normally don't do that. I just don't. I don't know why, but I don't. But this, I could not help it. I would wake up for a little bit. I'd get something to drink. Maybe I'd read for a little while because I wasn't that tired. But within an hour or two, I went back to bed and slept for 2 to 3 hours, and then I wake up again. And so, yeah, it was bad. I haven't been sick like that in I don't know how long. Roughly 5 or 6 years ago, I think, when I had a bad case of strep, and I was pretty much in bed all day long. But anyway, was it I think I was out. Yes, I stayed home that next day, Wednesday, as well, feeling a little better. I wasn't sleeping all day long, but I was pretty hit hard. I was pretty exhausted still. And then Thursday rolls around. Thursday morning. Okay, so Thursday morning hits. This is where it gets good, folks. Thursday morning hits. I'm feeling better. I decide I'm going to go to work. And as I do every morning, I take, I kind of get ready a little bit and feed my dog. I take him out in the morning. And so I did that. I walked down the stairs and took him out, and I was having a little, I don't know, not difficulty breathing, but I was breathing a little harder than I normally do. And so I bring him back in, and I start to go up the stairs, and I'm huffing and puffing, but it's like, wow, what's going on here? And the last time, because this happened before, the last time something like that happened where I was having trouble catching my breath was a year or two ago when I had pneumonia. So I decided that I'm still going to go to work, but my workplace has a clinic, a health clinic of its own. And if you go to that, then I don't have to do my insurance copay for a doctor visit. So I made an appointment there and went in, and still, even just walking out of my building to my car, I was winded. It's like, what? So I'm thinking, I'm thinking I have pneumonia again, or it's I'm about, it's going to develop into pneumonia. So I wanted to nip that in the bud by going to the clinic early. And so I drive over to the clinic again from the car to the office, which was not that far, 30, maybe 40 feet. And I'm just breathing hard. I'm like, what? Why is this happening? Because it didn't seem that bad early on that morning, but it seemed to be getting worse quickly. And so the nurse practitioner calls me back, take my vitals and stuff, and like asking me all these questions. What's wrong? What are the symptoms and all that stuff? I'm like, I have had this bad cold. This morning I'm having trouble breathing, and as I'm talking, my breathing is getting faster and faster, and I'm having trouble even speaking. And on top of that, I'm getting dizzy. And I think it's because I'm just short of breath and I'm not getting enough oxygen or something, right? And so they're doing all this stuff. Turns out my pulse ox is fine, which means I'm getting enough oxygen. But by this point, I am breathing quickly all the time, and it's not subsiding. And so they're getting concerned. They give me this breathing treatment, and that doesn't help. And then there was a scheduled fire drill at the clinic. They warned me about it. And so anyway, that happens, and we all go out, walk outside, and I am having trouble walking. I feel like my legs are going to buckle. I'm still breathing hard, and I'm still dizzy. And so the nurse, he's helping. He's standing right beside me. He's basically has his hand by my arm, ready to grab me in case I fall down, because he's that concerned. And so we go outside and stand in the parking lot waiting for the drill to be over. And I'm just standing there, and it's all I can do. I'm just like, I'm looking at the ground, and I'm breathing hard, and it's all I can do to stand up and not just collapse. And it's cold too. It was cold that morning, and I'm just wearing this jacket that I normally wear, and I was not prepared to be out in that cool air. And so I was shaking because I was cold and all this other stuff. Anyway, I'm just feeling worse. And they take me back inside, and I am not doing well. The physician's assistant comes in and is talking to me, and she's like, okay, your pulse ox is fine. You had the breathing treatment. That's not helping. I'm concerned that there's something else going on. We recommend you go to the ER. Or you can wait it out, and if it doesn't get better within an hour or two, then go to the ER. And I'm like, I think I'll do that. As I stagger those words out in between breaths. But anyway, so I'm not sure at what point. So things start to get a little hazy for me, because at that point I'm having trouble remembering things, or I'm having trouble concentrating, I guess that's the better way to put it. And so some of this stuff may be a little jumbled in my memory now, but at one point they were like, is there someone that, oh, I know what it was, because I said that, and they were like, and we don't think you should be driving yourself home or wherever, and is there someone you can call? I'm like, yeah, I could call my wife. And so I call her and ask her to come get me. Anyway, so she comes to get me, and again, the physician's assistant's like, I really think, she told my wife the options, and I tell my wife, no, let's just go home, let me lay down, and all this stuff. But my wife, once she sees me and everything, and listens to what the physician's assistant has told her, she's like, no, you're going to the ER. I'm like, no, let's go home, because I don't want to spend the money. And so we're driving on the way home, and we're still arguing back and forth. ER, no, ER, no, ER, no. And then finally we get into town, because where I work is 8 miles away from where I live. And for some reason, I relent, and we end up going to the ER. And on the way there, I was like, suddenly I had to go to the bathroom like I've never had to go to the bathroom before. Sorry. I apologize for what may come across as a little bit graphic from now on. Anyway, so we get there and she drops me off at the front door, and I'm like, I have to go to the bathroom, or I'm going to pee my pants. And so, there's a bathroom right in the front there, and she's like, okay, you do that. I'm going to go start the check-in process. And so I go to the bathroom, and nothing happens. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And at that point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, there is something seriously wrong with me. It's a good thing we came to the ER. And so we get checked in. I am still breathing this entire time, from the point where I get to the clinic to the point now we're at the ER. I don't know how long that was. Maybe 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I've been breathing really hard that whole time. And so I get there, and they're, again, checking in. They're asking me questions, and I'm trying to answer them through the breaths. They want me to put on a mask, because they don't know what's going on. I could be contagious, and that just makes it harder for me to breathe. But, I do it. And then they check me, get me back there, and they start hooking me up to all this stuff and whatnot. And they're running some tests. They draw some blood. They do all this stuff because, they don't know what's going on. In the meantime, I still have to go to the bathroom like you cannot believe. And to the point where now it is painful. I am experiencing sharp pains in my abdomen because I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And I tell them that. And so they let me go to the bathroom. That doesn't work. Come back, and they do an ultrasound on me to see, what's going on there. And it turns out, yeah, you really have to go to the bathroom because, my bladder is fuller than full. And so, they had me try again, and that, a little bit, I could get a little bit out, but, this may be, I apologize again for the grossness of this, talking about this stuff. But anyway, so that happens a few more times. And then finally I'm able to go to the bathroom. And, by this time, my hyperventilation has stopped. And at that point, and this is before the ER physician, had already seen me, and were looking over the tests and stuff. And he had come back to check on me, but I was in the bathroom at one point. And so it was a long time. The ER was very busy that day. And so we were there for another almost 3 hours, I think it was. But anyway, but my breathing had stopped. My heavy breathing had stopped, I should say. And I'm sitting there, or laying there, as time is going on. We're waiting to see the doctor again. And I'm starting to get pissed off because I'm not breathing hard. I don't have the other issue. And I wasted all that. I have wasted whatever money I have, that I have incurred, these costs I've incurred by going to the ER. And, so I'm in a bad mood now. And finally the doctor comes and says, we're not sure what happened there. We think that you had some sort of reaction to the cough medicine I had been taking, which seems weird. And then, also had something to do with the fact that I had a full bladder. I'm like, I don't think that's it. Anyway, so I was like, okay, whatever. And they're like, okay, if this happens again, come back, follow up with your doctor, blah, 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 the usual stuff. Anyway, we go home, and that was that, it did not reoccur. But boy, there for a few hours there, I was pretty concerned about what the heck was going on with me. The lesson is, I don't know what the lesson is. I was going to say, don't go to the ER when you don't need to, but I did feel like that was a good plan at one point. But now that we're getting the bills from that, so that was in, like I said, September. It's now November, and we're just now getting the bills. The Fortunately, my insurance, I'm lucky enough to have insurance that covers at least part of it. So anyway, so that was my fun health stuff. So what else happened in October? I had purchased tickets to a Sarah Bareilles concert months ago. I think it was like in March that these tickets went on sale. And so my wife and I planned to go because I love Sarah Bareilles. But then turns out, much later, my wife was invited to a work friend's wedding. And so she didn't want to miss that. And I didn't want to miss Sarah Bareilles. So we decided that she would go to that. And I asked my daughter, Brittany, to go with me to Sarah Bareilles, and she agreed. And that was great because Brittany is the one who introduced me to Sarah Bareilles in the first place, her music. And so we actually went to a concert many years ago in Spokane, Washington, in this little place, literally standing room only, where you could not move. You could just stand in one spot and not move. There was no place to sit, no place to move. It was the most painful, wonderful concert I've been to. My legs hurt so bad after that, but it was fantastic. I was maybe 15 feet away from Sarah Bareilles. This was after, I think, her big album that she, King of Anything, was probably the big song that everybody knows of hers. So she was touring about that time. And I've always wanted to go see her again. And she has finally, after doing some other things, she had a couple albums, one, maybe two albums after that one. But I don't know that she toured or we couldn't go to that tour. Anyway. And then she did the musical Waitress. She wrote and also released an album of those songs. She also starred in the Broadway show. I think it's Broadway. She starred in the show for a while. And then she came out with a new album this year. And so she's touring for that. And anyway, so she had a concert scheduled in Salt Lake City, which is about 10 hours away from where I live. And so I drove down to Boise and spent the evening with my daughter and her husband and my granddaughter Hadley, which was great. And so then we all piled in the car the next day and drove to Salt Lake City because Brittany wanted to, she offered to, if I didn't mind, and of course I didn't, if instead of just the two of us going, if her family went with us and we could just spend the day, that weekend essentially together. And we had the best time. I sat in the back seat of their car the entire drive there and back to Boise, to Salt Lake and then back to Boise, and kept Hadley company. And Hadley and I played and we talked and we sang, and it was, I had the best time, guys. I had that, and I of course got to spend time with my daughter, which I always love to do. We had a great time at the concert. I actually have, by the time you listen to this, I don't know how far down in my Instagram feed they will be, but I have posted some snippets of Sarah Bareilles' performances there. Thanks to my daughter because I was just so enthralled in the performance. I did not take any videos or any pictures while I was there, but my daughter did. I was just there to experience it and love it because I did. It was probably, it's top 5 favorite concerts that I've ever been to, for sure. And of course, while we were there, when we got to Salt Lake, it was about lunchtime, a little late lunch, but we went to In-N-Out Burger, which, oh my God, I love that place so much. I've only ever been there a couple times when we went to Vegas some years ago, and I've been wanting to go back ever since to an In-N-Out. So we went there, and then that night before the concert, we went to this wonderful place in downtown Salt Lake. It was a sushi place. I forget the name now, but it was awesome sushi. We got like three things or 3 orders, and we all shared it. They had hot sake, and I've never had sake before. So I wanted to try that. So, Brittany and I tried it. I did not like it. It just was not for me, but I tried it. And that was good. So we just had a great time, a really great time. Okay. And then finally, as far as things that's happened to me or what things that I've done in the last couple months, I have a new responsibility at work that came about in a weird way. I was having a meeting with my boss, and he was talking about one of his other departments, some challenges there. And I said, well, my team members, they have some experience with Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. And I said, probably with some training, they could help do these drawings that this other department is responsible for, and to help them get caught up. And instead of saying, oh yeah, that could work, and talk about that, no, he immediately goes, do you want to run the department? And I'm like, what? Anyway, so we talk about it, and he offers me the opportunity to manage that other department, which coincidentally is the department that sits right next to mine. And they had been there for, I don't know, several weeks. So I'd been sitting there listening to them talk about their work and their challenges and stuff. And it just so happens, the main reason that my supervisor offered this to me, primarily it was because there's a lot of not really overlap, but there's some synergy to be had between our two departments. Many of the same people that my department works with them. They deliver these product drawings to my department that we then put in our instruction manuals. And, so yeah, there's probably a lot of similarities there that I could help with, was his pitch. And then he also, that way he could concentrate on other things as well. And so after a few days, he said, okay, by next week when we talk again, let me know if this is something you want to do. And so I think about it, it's over the weekend. I talked to my wife about it, and which was an interesting conversation because, we're both now 50, and we're looking ahead at, in about 10 years, 12 years at most, we will be retiring. And basically her question to me, and I thought of this too, but it's like, do I really want to take on more stuff now when I'm basically in the twilight of my career? And, but anyway, I had basically decided to go ahead and do it, but I wanted to, there were some things, some specific things I wanted to talk to my boss about, not the least of which was, is this a promotion? Is this a path to promotion? That kind of thing. Because I'm taking on more responsibility, more people to manage. I feel like I should be compensated for that. But anyway, I was going to formulate that before our meeting, and then the day before, because I didn't do it over the weekend, of course, like a dummy. But the day before our meeting, my boss comes up to me and says, "Hey, he's going to go talk to his boss about all this stuff, and he needs to know my answer." I'm like, okay. So I awkwardly walked through that conversation and didn't do a great job, I have to say, about the promotion type stuff. Basically, I agreed to do it, and my performance review is coming up in February. I always have trouble saying that month. Of next year. So it's a possibility, basically, is what I was told. So anyway, so I've been, the last few weeks, I've been trying to get up to speed. I have never had so many meetings in my life as I've been working with that new team. Fortunately, it's only 3 members, 3 team members, one of whom is now the supervisor of the group. So I've been working with him mostly, but there's a project manager that I work with as well, and just trying to get up to speed as to what's going on. How do you guys do things? What is this? Tell me about that kind of stuff. And on top of that, my team, at least one of my team members, he and I have been developing this new publishing process with new software tools and whatnot. And so I've been trying to deal with that and everything else that I do normally. And then on top of that, I'm doing this other thing. So it's been an exhausting 2 weeks, guys, basically is what I'm saying. So there's that. So that's been what's been happening with me. In the meantime, I've been having a little bit of fun. I haven't released that many podcast episodes. I had 3 or 4 that I released last month, and but I haven't really been recording by myself lately. Mostly because I've just been really tired, and I was sick for a while, and then all this stuff at work happened. I got sick again, but at this time I was like tackling just a minor cold, but I tackled it with airborne and I tried to rest more, basically go to sleep or go to bed earlier, that kind of stuff. Being smart about it instead of what I did last time. But anyway, just haven't had haven't spent the time to sit down and take notes on stuff. And so anyway, what I've been doing instead is I've been just kind of lounging around, doing not much, watching TV, watching some movies. So to that point, we finally watched Spider-Man Far From Home. We rented that from Redbox one night, and boy, that was the most boring 30 minutes of the first part of a film I've ever seen. And I like this new version of Spider-Man. I've forgotten the actor's name now, but I picked up after a while. It was okay. I just haven't been all that enamored with the superhero movies lately. Leading up to Halloween, I watched The Exorcist, a movie that I have not seen in, probably a decade and a half. And then, otherwise, as far as movies, my 18-year-old niece, Victoria, who is next week, this coming Monday, as I record this, is going into the Navy. She's going to swear into the Navy on Monday. And she came up last weekend, I think it was. Yes, I believe last weekend. And we had dinner together with her and her mother, and just hung out for a bit. And we ended up watching Coco, the Pixar movie Coco, which I had not seen at that point. And she loves it. She knows all the songs by heart now, and she was really promoting watching that movie that night instead of doing some other things that we had planned to do. And so I sat down and watched it. It's a fun movie. I laughed a lot. There's some cute things, the dog especially. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've also been watching some TV. My wife is a big Supernatural fan, and so the final season is airing now. And so while I have not gotten into Supernatural as my wife has, she's seen every episode now. She basically went on a few month long binge of watching Supernatural. I have seen several episodes now just because I was watching them with her, but I didn't watch all of them. But I know enough about the show and what's happening that I can easily watch this final season with her. So we watched the first couple episodes now. We're a bit behind, but so I've been watching those with her. That's, I always enjoy spending time with my wife, doing something that we both enjoy. I wish I could get her into comics so we have that in common, but that hasn't happened in almost 30 years. I don't think it's going to happen now. I've also been watching the final season. That's interesting that both shows are ending, but the final season of The Good Place, the Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, and other folks, the show about being in heaven and what does it mean to be a good person, that kind of a thing. It's been great. I was actually not all that enamored with the first few episodes because they introduced a bunch of new characters into the show, and so they were focusing on those characters and not our core characters that we've come to know and love over these last 3 seasons. but it's the last episode that I watched. It's really hit its stride again, and now I'm just looking forward to seeing how this all wraps up, but also not looking forward to it wrapping up. If you haven't watched The Good Place, I highly recommend it. There's also The Good Place, the podcast, which is hosted by one of the reoccurring characters. It's hosted by Mark Evan Jackson. He plays Sean on the show. And it's a delightful examination of the particular episodes, but also what went into making the episode, what were the writers and the directors thinking, discussing. I mean, this show itself discusses philosophy, and at the end of every episode, Mark Evan Jackson says, "Now go do something good," and it's kind of silly to say, but it's kind of inspiring. So I highly recommend you watch The Good Place and listen to The Good Place, the podcast at the same time. So you should go do that. And then finally, there's a new comic book based TV show that I have been watching on ABC called Stumptown. And this is from the comic written by Greg Rucka with artists, let's see here, Matthew Southworth, Lee Lowridge, and Rico Renzi on the first trade volume that I have. And then who comes? Justin Greenwood and Ryan Hill come into some later volumes of it. So I've been getting that in trade. I love it. It's about a Portland, Oregon-based private investigator named Dex and what she goes through with that. And the show, the TV show based on this comic. So first of all, go buy the comics. Image is putting out, Oni Press is putting out these Stumptown trades. So you can get those from Oni Press. And go get those, read those, but then go watch the TV show. So this is starring Colby Smulders from How I Met Your Mother, and she's also, oh boy, I've forgotten her character's name. She's the S.H.I.E.L.D. agent that you often see with Nick Fury. Oh man, I cannot remember her name. Anyway, it's a great adaptation. It also takes the character in situations in new places, which I appreciate. It's not just a regurgitation of the comic. So I'm a little behind on that. I've only seen like the first 3 or 4 episodes, but I love it. It's a great show. I hear it's been picked up for a full season order. Hopefully they'll get a second season. I've missed the private investigator genre on television. And the fact that it's done by, or it's being portrayed, the character's being portrayed by Colby Smulders is just, to me, fantastic. I think I really like her. I've always wanted to see her do more stuff. So there's that. And then, I think, finally, some podcast recommendations. Things I've been listening to. So first of all, Never Stay Dead. I've talked about this show before. This is the show hosted by Damien and Matt. I've had them on the show before talking about their show and other episodes as well, talking about comics. But I just want to shout out them again because they are doing something different than most comic book based shows, and even including my own, where not only do they talk about comics, but they are talking about their reactions to not just a particular issue or set of issues, but a run or a creative team's run, or just kind of the general influence of the comic or the creators on other things. So they're taking a more wider stance on the impact of these particular things. And they had a more recent episode had to do with the Frank Miller run on Daredevil. And I really enjoyed that. It was a nice examination and exploration of that run and how it impacted the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And they went to some other places. So the last couple episodes of Never Stay Dead, at the time of this recording, have been really, really enjoyable. And I highly recommend you go check them out. So do that. And then finally, this year was the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. And in celebration of that, there was a couple podcasts, but I have forgotten the other one. It was put out by the BBC, examining basically the 13 minutes of the descent, the final descent to the moon. Very well done. I don't remember the name of it, and I don't think I don't think I'm subscribed to it anymore, so I don't remember what it was. But anyway, the other one, which is the one I intended to talk about, is called Moonrise, and this is done by Lillian Cunningham, hosted by her. And so she has done a few other podcasts as well. She did one on the Constitution. She did one on, was it the Founding Fathers as well? Anyway, so she's been doing these more historical-based podcasts recently, and she did one called Moonrise, which was all about the events leading up to and including the moon landing. And so she taught me a lot about the history of why we went to the moon, how we went to the moon, stuff I'd never known before. And I used to be a pretty big, or used to be really into NASA and space exploration and the moon landing and all that stuff. And I did not know most of this stuff. In fact, it was kind of a miracle that we even made it to the moon first as we did, because if certain things had happened a little differently, just a tiny bit differently, the Russians would have made it to the moon well before us. And, there's the whole political aspects of the moon race, and the space race for that matter. Kennedy didn't even really want to go to the moon, just little tidbits like that. And Lillian tells these stories about these people, these men, these personalities involved in the whole thing, on the Russian side and on the American side. And it's just fascinating. If you're into history and you like space exploration, you like NASA and all that kind of stuff, you need to listen to the Moonrise podcast. And I would say, also go listen to her other podcasts. And these are put out by the Washington Post. So if you search for Washington Post or Lillian Cunningham podcasts, you'll find what those are. So good entertaining and educational stuff that I've been ingesting through my ears. And then finally, I just wanted a podcast related thing I just want to mention. There's this app that I've been using. I don't use it all the time, but I have been using it a little bit. It's called, it's the Bullet app. And it's an app that allows you to grab snippets, 10, 15, or even 20-second snippets of podcasts you listen to, and then it takes that audio, transcribes it into text, and then posts the transcription and the audio of that snippet. And I can put that on Twitter, which is what I've been doing. And part of the reason I'm telling people that is, one, I think it's cool that people can do that, and I say, for people that are like me, podcastophiles, people who really like to listen to podcasts as I do, you should try this out and promote your favorite podcasts in that way. There was one where Chip Zdarsky was on a podcast, or was it the one where he took over Ryan Stegman's podcast? I can't remember which one that was now, but he had a little bit that I snipped, and I don't remember if I tagged him or not. Maybe I did, but because I normally don't do that. But it was kind of funny, and out of context, it makes him seem kind of a jerk. But it was a joke. It was funny, and so I posted that, and he replied, "Well, basically that is like, well, sure, when you take it out of context, it looks bad." So I thought that was funny that I got that response. But anyway, go try it out. Go check it out. It's the Bullet app, and like I said, it's a good way to help promote your favorite shows. So, and with that, I am done. So I just want to say to you, the listener, thank you for putting up with me, for indulging me in these gutters audio journal things that I've been doing lately. I'm sure I'll be back to talk soon about what happened over the holidays, as I usually do. So that'll probably be, so you'll probably hear something from me in January. So yeah, another 2 months. So that's probably going to be my new schedule for these things. But anyway, it is what it is. So I will not. Well, I will. There's some other episodes I'll be putting out there between now and then. But in case you only listen to these, or you don't listen to every episode of mine, I just want to say have some great holidays coming up, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.